Okay, let's do this. Let's kick this pig. Reid, where are you, my guy? All right. I started a little earlier so we could face down technical difficulties. Although it was scheduling difficulties last time. So. All right. I sent Reid the invite. I will fight him. Oh, you're welcome. Yay. Reid, I swear on my life, if I get this notification that he can't get in, I'll just start crying. Ah, we did it. I was between hopefully it gets to you and I start crying. That's
Can you hear okay? Is it
yep.
working?
Yep.
All right.
Sweet.
You know, I'm very new to the influencer game, so this is like the first time I've even used one of these. So let me know if it messes up.
I have mine. I hide it under my hair.
Oh, I'd be way better. It would get lost up in here, or
I
give
don't
me
know.
even more brains than I already have.
It would cause a different set of problems, though.
Yeah. Eh, it works. Hi.
Hi, we did it. We got on a live. And I was like, we're leaving. I'm trying to start 2 minutes earlier now because I'm like, let's do tech stuff maybe before we start.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. I didn't know if it was gonna like come through on the messenger or a notification, so I was just kind of sitting on Instagram and it happened. So
That's kind
I have this also like precariously up here, so please let me know if it's like jiggling around much. Whoa.
That's all right. I totally understand. I actually
Yeah.
have like a little thing with a hook now and I'm or a clip and I'm like, this has saved my life. I use it for regular video calls at work now.
Okay. Nice. I mean, whatever works. I work mostly remote, and I'm like, I should probably have a better setup. So,
Yeah,
but
I didn't until I stopped working remote. We went back in the office 3 days a week, and then I'm like, look at my great setup now. Perfect timing.
yeah. How do you like being back in the office? Like, do you prefer the hybrid or you like fully remote?
I prefer the hybrid.
Me
I am
too.
a person who like so the way my ADHD manifests, I do really well in like parallel work co-working space.
Yeah.
I one to like piggyback off of, and when I'm in the office, everyone is so locked in that I'm like, oh, okay, and then I'm
Yeah.
like not thinking about
Intimidated by the progress.
yeah, I'm like I actually do my job. It's great,
Yeah,
but
I agree. There's some like competitive peer pressure that is helpful for me too, because I feel like I can get. I work primarily remote, and then I go back to Cincinnati and work in the office for like 1 week out of every month, and like the amount of work that gets done density wise in the office compared to here is crazy. Just because it's a lot of meetings and people like coming up to you, like a lot of people think of you a lot more when it's like, oh, you're physically present. So yeah,
yep.
but I liked before I went remote, we had like a 3 day in the office thing going, and I thought that was perfect hybrid where it's like, all right, it was
I
time and home, but yeah,
Yeah, like I and the thing is like I listen to audiobooks while I drive. My commute's only 30 minutes. There's 35 minutes. Like I drive against the flow of traffic, so I get to wave at the backup on I-5 as I go past it, which is really nice.
perfect.
And so I can't
So are
really
you? Yeah, for sure. Are you in like downtown Seattle where you live, or where?
uh, I am I'm kind of like in downtown. I'm in the downtown area.
Okay,
Technically over on the east side in Bellevue, but like I'm in downtown Bellevue. Everyone here's Bellevue.
got it.
And don't get me wrong. I originally moved here for a different job. And then I left Seattle to be closer to like have a better commute. And then I switched
Sure.
jobs. Like I want to go back. So I'm waiting until I'm expired and I'm going back to the city because I miss the city. Bellevue's fine.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. I've only like been into Seattle to. I flew in and then drove like immediately across the mountains to Chelan. Are you familiar? It's like a lake town on the other. Yeah. So my buddy got married there. So I want to come in and like actually spend some real time in Seattle. Plus now every single author, bookstagrammer, every other one lives in Seattle. So I feel like I come up and hang out with you guys.
It's so I didn't realize like I went to one book event and like I was walking past the line to go because you know Noah's Noah. I was walking past the line. He's like, just come here. And I'm like walking past the line. I'm like, I I know so many of you. I didn't realize that
Right.
many of us were here. And like I
Yep.
mentioned doing something like getting something together on TikTok or something. And I think it was like 50 people were like, yeah. I'm like, oh no, it's too many people. I thought it'd be like six.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I see my
So
my buddy who got married in Jalan is in the chat. It was awesome, Gabe.
hey.
Yeah, I feel like similarly to like how if an actor is like you want to take off in an acting career, it's like well you got to move out to LA or be in New York. It's like if I feel like if you want to be a fantasy author, there's not a small percentage chance you should just move to Utah or Seattle. It feels like
What's up in
that's the density.
what's happening in Utah that's breeding all these fantasy authors? And like,
I don't know. There's a
I
ton.
I saw Dragonsteel Nexus is moving to Colorado, which is kind of cool. And like
Okay.
that'll be interesting because I think my understanding is the venue's so limited that they need something bigger, but Utah for some reason doesn't have that as an option. I don't know.
That is shocking, but not surprising that like anything associated with Brandon Sanderson is like, oh, way, 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 way more people than we anticipated are interested in this. It's like,
Yep.
yep, just keeps
I know.
growing.
And I know people were like, the lottery system. I actually thought that was really smart and it was random. It didn't matter when you signed up. Everyone was in the lottery equally.
Oh, I didn't know about it because there was so many people interested versus how big the venue was.
Yeah, because they have a limited number of tickets. They just do like a lottery system where they draw invitations randomly. And like, I actually thought that was pretty. I know some people got really annoyed by it. I actually think that's a really fair system. I think it's pretty
I
cool.
mean, it's like if you're at that point where there's that many people and a finite amount of slots, like it's hard to find a more fair way to do it. Like it's just going to have to be chance to some degree, right? So
Yep.
are you going? Have you been before?
Yeah. Yes. I got
Okay.
my ticket. I'm very excited. I booked my.
That's
I'm an insane person. And the minute that they were like, media applications are open, you can apply for Media Pass. I was like, Media Pass and get a hotel. I immediately booked my hotel.
yeah, probably a good call.
So, and now everyone's like, I don't know where to stay. I'm like, I do.
Just have everybody just start charging like $5. You can put your sleeping bag in Sarah's room. Like you could recoup your hotel costs.
Yeah, I mean, the bathtub is open. That's fine.
Yeah, man. At the end of the day, just somewhere to collapse.
Yeah, exactly. So let
Yeah.
me ask you some questions that are very important to the people. It's the reason
Okay.
we're here. And actually, it's information that even I don't know.
All
So
right.
you're writing a book, or have you already written a book? Is it already done?
Yes. Well, it's the first draft is done. So it's funny. It's actually been sitting for a long time. So I had this really, I had a really well thought out plan in my head of I'm gonna finish book one, and then a lot of the books I had read that were talking about, it's good to get some separation from it before you dive right back in. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna write book one, and then I'm gonna jump and do like a whole manuscript for book two, get that first one done, jump back, do edits on book one, and then that's my separation from book two. So I actually finished book one like 2 days before my wedding, which was two
Oh,
years ago to the day today. Today is my anniversary.
okay. Let's
Um,
move it.
yeah, exactly. And then I was like, all right, well, that took like 8 months to do that first draft. So I'm sure I can do something similar for the second one. And the second one quickly ballooned to like, I think it's like a 210,000 word document at this point. And it
Oh,
took like 14 months. And I was like, okay, this has been sitting too long. I should jump back onto the other. So I had to like not abandon, but step away from the draft two. And I think like for urban fantasy, you probably want those to be a little bit shorter. Like I want the first one to be shorter than it is.
yeah.
So definitely the 210,000 word one is going to have to be, I think I've concocted a good way to like split it into like a book two and a book three.
Yeah. You're,
So
that's what I'm hearing.
yeah, yeah, we'll see. The plan went awry, but I'm hoping to just keep building the airplane on the way down after jumping off the cliff. But
Yeah.
um,
Plans go
yeah.
with. That's my entire. I wrote the entire manuscript for mine. I think in like 2 months. Like
Oh my God.
when I fix on something, I work really fast. Everyone has asked
Yeah.
me to do so much. I don't. I don't have an answer. I don't know. And like
Just lock in.
I lock in and like
Yeah. Yeah.
I just crashed through it in like 2 months. And then I was like, okay. And I sent it off for edits to an editor but then the editor got them back to me and then I panicked. And
Yeah.
I've since been stalling and now
I
I've
was
been
going to ask you.
into moving on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was gonna ask you how you like the editing. So wait, how long is the draft one? You probably said it in our chat, and I just don't remember.
My draft one's only about I pared it back really far. I made a really lean draft my first round of editing. So I
Yeah,
went edited for a while, for like a month or two before I actually sent it to someone professionally. Then I scared myself and I got imposter syndrome really bad. And I pared it back really far to about 80,000 words. And like since having my editor feedback and then getting a beta reader take a look at it, I have since added like God. I think I'm now closer to 95 to 100,000 words, but mine's like a
I'm jealous.
fantasy. Like
Yeah, yeah.
between all you guys, I'm watching you guys. You're like, oh, I'm at 140,000 words. I'm like, not
It's
me.
too much. It's too much. It's like I need to get better at cutting things out. Like I think I'm too enamored with my own wittiness sometimes, so I need to be humbled. But yeah, no, the imposter syndrome is definitely very real. I know you like V Schwab, but
Oh,
if you don't, I subscribe to her like email newsletter, and she like very often talks about her dealing with imposter syndrome, which is crazy because I'm like, this is like the biggest selling fantasy author. So like to hear her like still feeling that way with like 7 best-selling series. Yeah, exactly.
Her.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. And so that, I mean, like on paper, it's like, oh, yeah, it makes tons of sense. But it is, she speaks very like plainly in her own words in the newsletter. And it just feels like she's talking directly to you. And I'm like, all right, well, if this author can have imposter syndrome, I can have it and like keep going forward. But she had something, I'm sure this isn't like new advice, but it just resonated with me. She had something to the effect in one of her newsletters that was like, she has to actively tell herself all the time, like, uh, an imperfect draft is better than a perfect draft that never exists, right? Like
Yes.
existence beats perfection.
It's the Adventure Time thing that I live and die by, which is sucking at something is the first step to being sort of good at something. So like
Yes, yes, I love that
have
quote.
that.
Yeah.
So you're doing
So
fantasy. What's your
yeah.
book?
So I don't know if you've like read a bunch of urban fantasy, but I love urban fantasy. Definitely like my favorite genre. Um, and so urban fantasy is like there's a lot of different I would say like sub strains beneath it, but like I would say the one that has the most quantity in it is like something akin to like Buffy the Vampire Slayer or the TV show Supernatural, where it's like it's kind of set in the modern world like the world we live in, and then kind of supernatural elements exist within it. And some of them, that's like it's in they call it the masquerade, where it's like only a select few people know that's going on. Like your vampire hunters are in on it.
Yeah.
Some of them are like it's out in the open, and it just kind of shows you how society would be if these things integrated with society, like similar to
Like Dresden Files.
yes. So Dresden Files is like it's in a weird play. I don't know if you've read any. There's like 18 books. His actually went from it starts out like, he advertises as a wizard in the phone book, but nobody believes the supernatural is real. But it's gone on so long. The most recent, this is kind of a spoiler, but it's also kind of out there. It's gone on so long that there's like these big earth-shaking events happening at the end of the series now, where it's like it's being thrust into the public. So the books are starting to have to deal with the world realizing the supernatural exists. But
Okay.
so there's a bunch of different flavors of it, but I really like that kind of like standard flair. And so I've read a bunch of those series and love reading it. And so it's like I'm always craving more of it, and I want to write. So I'm like, all right, I'll just write the thing that I want to read. But
Yep.
um, yeah. So and then it also kind of like when I finally drove myself to start writing a little bit more. It coincided with moving. So I live in Chicago now. Moved up here for my wife and live. But I grew up like all my life prior to that. I lived and grew up in northern Kentucky, very northern Kentucky, basically right across the river from Cincinnati, which a lot of people don't think about Ohio at all, which I get. But Ohio is like a giant kind
I
of
I
rectangular.
Kentucky is here, and in my brain, Ohio's like way over here, and I forget that they touch.
Yeah, they share a border. So Cincinnati is like as far southwest in the corner. Like Ohio's like almost a rectangle, kind of looks like a shield. Cincinnati's all the way in the southwestern corner of Ohio. Like so within 20 minutes from the city center, you can be in Indiana. Within like 5 minutes from the city center, you can be in Kentucky. So it's like right in a little tri-state juncture.
Okay.
So all of that is just kind of known as Greater Cincinnati, and so I have a lot of ties there, and have a lot of like passion for the city, and it kind of coincided with moving away from it, and so as a way to stay tethered to it, a lot of my family still lives there, so I'm still tethered, but um, so it kind of grew out of that, and I was like, all right, I could set it in a city that I know. I can't set it in Chicago because that's where Dresden Files is set, and that's like the
Yeah.
biggest one out there.
Yeah.
Um,
Do that.
yeah, exactly. And but Cincinnati has this kind of like funny quirkiness to it, in my opinion, where so I grew up, I'm from Kentucky, so very, very northern Kentucky, that's like right across the river from Cincinnati. The whole rest of the state of Kentucky is like, we don't claim that, you're basically Ohio, right? And then Cincinnati, the whole rest of the state of Ohio is like Cincinnati, that's basically the South, that's Kentucky, right? So it's like this no man's land where neither side wants
No
to
one wants it,
claim you. Yeah, yeah. So it kind of breeds a lot of camaraderie in the city, but I kind of took that and extrapolated it. So like kind of this wasn't like, I wasn't intentionally like, oh, there's going to be a theme, but I feel like it's kind of turned into like a little bit of a theme of like, it's kind of this like overlooked, not claimed city. And so my main character is similar to that. Instead of like a wizard, he's a warlock, which is in the world I wrote, it's kind of an outcast from the rest of the supernatural society. So everybody kind of looks at him with suspicion. But he's kind of thrust into this role where Cincinnati is because like I feel like it's overlooked in the supernatural world. It's like
Mhm.
I kind of wrote this thing in where it's like the one part of the world there's like some spell that nobody really understands that blocks people out from having any sort of tracking on you. So you can't really be found within the confines around Cincinnati. And so supernatural creatures that are like on the run from somebody will go there to hide. And so then he's kind of thrust in to be this like witness protection, helping people hide from the people that are chasing after it. So kind of
Okay. And
hijinks ensue from there.
are you doing like a through line plot for a series, or do you plan this to be like a case by
Yeah.
case? And I keep referencing Dresden Files because it's like the closest
No,
thing. But like,
it's a complete there's an immense amount of inspiration from it. I'm sure people will
okay,
read this and be like, there's probably parts that people will try to say are plagiarized or whatever, copied. Like, I mean, it all informs
like
itself, but major inspiration. I really like the kind of especially in the early Dresden Files and like shows like Supernatural, I really like the kind of episodic like monster of the week type stuff
yeah,
rather than like huge overarching stories. But in my mind I think it's kind of each book will be a little like there's a case or a monster of the week that's within each book. There'll be a full storyline, but they'll maybe be in like 3 or 4 book like arcs that kind of have a thread across those. And then so I have a couple arcs in mind that'll kind of, as one peters out, another one picks up, that go, if you're reading all of them, you get a through line across multiple books. But hopefully aiming to make it entertaining enough that you could, for the most part, pick up a lot of them without having to have all that context. So it's a little bit of a fusion of both. But I've
okay.
also only written 1 and a mutated 2 that's probably going to be 3. So the plans go awry. So I don't know.
Yeah, you have a plan when you first start writing, and then the plan laughs at you. Like
Yes.
I was explaining it to a couple people. Like as I'm writing, I don't I plan in the sense that I have like my backbone. I know what I'm gonna write. Like I have like my template for what I know, this all my major beats and stuff like that. The
Yeah.
stories hit. But as I'm writing it, like I feel like the characters kind of do their own thing, and I just write it out. So as I'm
Right.
writing it, I'm like, this is so surprising. I had no idea they were gonna do this, and I'm
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
everyone else when certain things happen. Like
Yeah.
one part in the story, my manuscript, where a couple people were like, "Oh my god, I didn't expect that." I was like, "Me neither."
I'm just as surprised as you how I got
Yeah,
here. That's great though. I like that kind of. That's definitely how I write too. I mean, I know some people like really need to have it very organized. Um, so do you have like an end point in mind when you started, or you're just like, I have characters, I have an idea of like a couple big set pieces, and then we'll just see what happens as I start writing?
yeah. I actually, so my first iteration of it was actually different. I added in. I didn't know where I was going to get to, so it's based on like Dante's Inferno. So you go through the different layers of hell. I
I'm
didn't know
so into that, by the way.
it's super
I love
like
anything that gets close to mythology and
me too.
like I'm so sold. Yeah.
I lean into it all the time, and like I didn't know how I was gonna like, because I was, as I was writing, I realized like she kind of gets like the completion of part of this really important emotional arc like about 2/3 through. So how, what do I do with the last third? And I'm like, what if I
Yeah.
have an overarching like conspiratorial thing that really starts to take shape in like the
Yeah.
greeds? And then I'm like, okay, let's go back. And so I went all the way back and I started planting seeds for it because
Yeah.
I realized I didn't have enough. That like it just seemed
Right.
like so I'm like, where do I go plant seeds? So I had to go back and like fix
Yeah.
it. And like I expected her arc to take longer, but like as I was putting things together, I'm like, she doesn't really need like all 9 layers. Like we can do something else. So I got to like
Right.
veer to the left and add something to it, which I did not expect originally. So I deviate from
Yeah, which is great because I mean I'm sure a lot of people will come to it and are like it'll be entertaining if you've never read Dante, but then the people that do have read it come in and they're like, okay, I'm anticipating she's going to go through these 9, so then that left turn is going to completely catch, like it'll be fresh for everybody.
oh yeah.
That's great.
And there's
But
like
yeah,
I much as I could and like preserve it and things. So like if you know Dante's Inferno, you're gonna be like, I know exactly what that is.
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. Nice. I'm looking forward to the Easter eggs. Yeah,
Oh yeah, it'll be
I'm
fun.
laughing because I had I think Maya had a comment. I was reading through all like beta feedback this weekend. Maya's great for beta reading. I don't know if she's reading yours, but um, she like had a comment on one of them that was like kind of an investigative a piece of the like the mystery he's investigating like pays off, and she was like, oh my god, like you're so good at writing this like this mystery, like this was so like well set up, and I can't believe how it paid off. Like I'm not, I can't, I don't know how to set that up. I'm like, I knew that I found out I wanted to go here, and then I just went backwards and like made it like
Retro.
I definitely didn't write this in intelligently at all. That's the nice part about editing is I can just go back and make myself look so much smarter than I actually
Oh
am.
yeah. That's every time I read like any kind of really incredibly creative like fantasy mystery, I'm like, how'd they do that? And then I'm like, girl, you know how they did that.
The document is editable. That's how.
Yeah, because they're the first person alive when they know what's coming. Like,
Yeah. So do you this was part of a conversation I was having with some of the other guys was do you have people like reading and giving feedback while you're in the middle of drafting, or do you give it to
um,
people afterwards?
I usually give it to people afterwards, but that's
Yeah.
because I'm very protective in the sense that like the first manuscript I wrote is very personally connected to an actual situation I was in, which I know it sounds insane when you hear like the overarching theme. You're like, did you? Oh, you really went to the underworld? Like, yeah, I did.
It's
Okay,
all metaphors. It's all metaphors. Yeah, in a
it's
sense,
all
I
metaphor.
did. Yeah.
And like, so that one's is I was very like secretive about that one until it was done. And but
Sure.
my second work in project or work in progress that I've been working on, I've been a lot more free with. So I've actually I
Yeah.
have some live in it right now. And like one of my friends is the scariest person alive, and he prints them off and he sends me like his highlighters and his little sticky tabs and his three different colored pens, and he writes like a little color key. And I'm like,
Oh my God, that's awesome.
it's great, is the best feedback on the planet, and like
Yeah.
everything he's ever given me is like really awesome and so helpful, but at the same
Yeah.
time
It's like
so
intimidating.
like, oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yeah, yeah. It's like getting a murder ransom note. He's like, I'm going to start cutting out letters from magazines and sending you my feedback through
We're
that.
inches away from a serial killer letter, like,
Yeah, that's great. But yeah, I think who I was talking with are mostly people who like plot out a lot more of their novel than what I do. And it sounds like I'm probably like close to the same way that you do it, where I'm like,
yeah.
I, the first draft, I had to go back and like completely retool the first half because I like realized I'm going to change the direction I'm going in the
Mhm.
second half. So I'm like, if I give this to somebody like live, it wouldn't make any sense. Like I had to go back and like connect all these pieces that I dropped at the end.
I feel like they're going to be rereading the first few chapters a bunch of times if I do that, and like
Yeah,
I don't want to
exactly.
be sick of the first few chapters of
Yeah,
manuscript. I'm like,
yeah,
wait until I feel good. And when I'm making those tweaks, like the feedback I got is like, I'm very good at emotional language. I have the inverse problem that most people do. I don't offer enough environmental descriptors. And so I had to go back and add in more like placement and like spatial environment stuff. So like I actually had the emotional language. I just was missing the spatial language. So I had to go
okay.
back and like one of my friends who read the very first like she read the very first chapter of the very first version, she went back and read recently the literally a couple days ago what I changed, and she's like,
Yeah.
oh, so much better, it's so much different. I'm like, oh, my first draft was bad, thank you for saying that during.
You know what? It's just pointing out that just means you grew. So
Yeah,
that's a good thing.
I'm
Yeah.
like, great. And like, so
I'm
when you started your writing process, did you have like a plan for what you wanted to do with it? Did you know like, oh, I want to start querying and I want to go trad, or you're like, I'm all set on indie and self-publishing, or were you like, let's write it and see how I feel at the end and then I'll make a decision?
This one I was pretty in my head set to go the indie route. So I had like again, so for before I moved up to Chicago, I was doing long distance with my now wife for I don't know, probably a year and a half. And so I was spending, you know, it's like a 5 hour drive with I bring my dog with me usually in the car between Cincinnati and Chicago. And so I just like spending all this time going back and forth. And I got really into I listened to like Sanderson has a podcast. So every now and then I was listening to like writing podcasts, and I kind of fell into a podcast called Self Publishing Show, which I think it's changed its name now. But I started listening to that, and they were just kind of singing the praises of how easy it is and how viable of an avenue it is in today's day and age to do self publishing. And they kind of lay out a roadmap, and then from there I found a bunch of other different resources. And it sounded like the route I wanted to go. Plus, I feel like I would be too impatient for some of the querying process. So this one was pretty intentionally written with that aim. Um, but and that was why I kind of had that cadence of my original plan of write the whole thing, walk away from it, write the second one, and go back. Was like I think Seth Ring talks about this a lot in that interview that Noah did, or in his newsletter. It's like all of those shows, if you watch them, especially if you a good way to make self publishing, independent publishing viable is like the best thing to sell your first book is the next book behind it, and like getting additional books in a series so that you get like read through pays way more dividends than like different trying out different like marketing campaigns on the first one.
Yeah.
So I had kind of said, I was like, all right, I'll get the first one done, then I'll have that second one in the chamber, and then I can start the third one. So it's gone awry from there, but that was kind of, I was trying to make that plan in my head, and now I'm just trying to give myself grace with doing it not exactly as planned. But
Plans are
did
just
you have a plan for yours, or you were just like, I got to
um,
write this piece and then I'll figure it out from there?
so I created mine as a standalone. I intended it to be a standalone, and then I have my second project, which is a longer. It's kind of like an episodic series ish. But I planned this one to be a standalone, and right now the plan is I'm actually working with. I'm back and forth with a cover artist now, and so we're working on the cover for it.
Cool.
And then I'm going to start looking at. I have to start caring about things like typefaces and spacing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have been maybe possibly avoiding that because it sounds really fine detailed, which is insane because in my paid job that I do for work, I love doing that kind of formatting design.
Yeah.
But for stuff, I'm like, I want to scream into the sky every day.
Yes. I feel that very, very wholeheartedly. I don't do it for a day job, and I'm still like, I don't want to do it. But that's
Yeah.
awesome. I'm excited. So have you started getting like sketches and stuff back for the car? It's crazy once it starts to get real like that.
It is very weird. We are in the back and forth getting the concept worked out phase, and then I'm going to send her a contract. I've got some examples of her work and stuff that she's already sent me.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to work with her. Art students, not enough indie authors use art students. Contact.
Oh, sorry, you mentioned that. Yeah.
Yep, I happen to
Is
have
this person one then?
like yeah, she's one of their master students.
Okay.
Graduated this year. So this would be like her first like big project, and so I'm like, yeah,
Sure.
and bushy-tailed. I'm a
Yeah.
very easy client in the sense that I have an image in my head and I know exactly what I want my cover to look like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like, I think I know exactly how it will work best for this for like the type of story it
Sure.
is. Look like so I can give her like this detailed discussion about like she has a whole paragraph about what I'm looking for, and like no pressure, but like
Yeah. Yeah.
she's got like I'm not a very demanding client either. Like we'll get close enough and I'll be like,
Yeah.
good, wrap it, let's get it going.
Right. Right. Yeah, yeah. That I hope this doesn't come off as insulting, but that does not surprise me at all that you're like, I have a full dissertation on what I want this cover to look like. I got that vibe.
Like everyone's I don't like going into a situation not having a solution, and I think that
Yeah.
just to everything in my life. So I'm like, if I'm going to ask for a cover, I better know what I want.
Yes. Yeah. No, I'm with you. I mean, I think probably most in my experience is very limited, but I would think most artists are like, hey, the more information you give me, the better, because there's going to be less of those like I'm guessing what you want, and then we have to do all these like complete revision rounds. But I think I scared my cover artist a little bit. I should have counted before I hopped on here. I sent like a PowerPoint slide deck. I mean, or Google Slides or whatever, and it was probably like. It was probably like 12 pages. But I mean, like I was trying to keep minimal amounts of stuff per page. But I think I don't think English is his first language. And he was just like, wow, this is a lot. That was like the first response. I was like, oh, hopefully that's useful to you.
Pinterest board for mood. I've got like all this
Yeah.
stuff. And turn, she's like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, I thought about it already. I saw it in a dream. I'm
Yeah.
kidding. Dreamed it up in my head as I was walking. I had a moment where like I have a giant whiteboard that like it's right outside my bathroom because
You said that.
I sprint and I'm like, ugh, and like
Yes.
it crystallized one day with like the help of a eucalyptus spray, and I was like, oh my god, I know what I want. It's crazy how it just like snaps into place like that.
Yeah, yeah. I think you need to get some whiteboard content on your page. Like I like watching videos like that. Like KR House does a bunch of them on Instagram, and like Daniel Green does some on YouTube. Like I like the whiteboard content. The more unhinged, the better. So I feel like you could do some fun stuff there.
Oh, I keep threatening to do like an entire whiteboard history of the Dark Crystal.
Nice. I mean, I feel like that'll go viral.
I think that'd be really fun. And like I'm a big nerd for like old Jim Henson films like Labyrinth and Dark Crystal and all those worlds. Like I have all the books for the Dark Crystal that the show
Oh,
was based
cool.
off of. I watched the show like religiously. I will still rewatch it and be mad. There's like comics and encyclopedias, and I've read through all of them. It goes very deep. The lore for
Yes.
Will and Sarah go very
Yeah.
deep.
Would you say that's like your deepest like ultra nerd fandom?
Honestly, it probably I probably have to say yes. In my
Yeah.
head, no, there's probably a different one. No, I don't think there's one I know more about.
I feel like that's always I'm always interested to hear, especially like people who are outwardly like on Bookstagram and stuff, because like you have a lot of nerddoms, but I'm like everybody has one where they're like, I feel like I might be in the like 1%, top 1% of people who
Yeah.
know about this thing. Like when you start getting into the encyclopedias, like you're talking about, it's like okay, now you're bordering into that. But
Yeah.
I have the same for I love the Halo video games. And now there's like so much Halo content, but like back when like Halo 2 and 3 were out, I was like reading all the novels and like I have like 4 or 5 like Halo encyclopedias. Like I was deep in
Oh,
it. But
I
yeah.
had I have a couple of friends that are huge Star Wars nerds, and one of
Yeah.
them, biggest of big Star Wars nerds. He reads a ton of books. Almost
There's
all
so
of them
many.
are exclusively Star Wars. Like he
Yeah.
the movies are always playing. He's seen every single show. Like really big Star Wars guy.
Yeah.
Whenever my friends are really passionate about something, I love when people are passionate about stuff.
For
And like
sure.
it doesn't matter if I don't know anything about it. I will be like rapt with
Yeah.
attention. Tell me everything that you love about
Yeah.
this. I incidentally, because I wanted to be conversant with him when he was really excited about everything, I went through the Wikipedia and I got lost for
Yes.
days. And now I'm like, let's talk about the Yuzon Bong. Let's talk about how
Yes. 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 Yeah. You're
the
deep in the
twins.
lore.
And I went really deep to get conversational with my friend, and now I'm like, dang, I have a lot of Star Wars knowledge. And a bunch of people
Yeah.
are like, you love the movies? I'm like, no, like they're fine. I like
No,
them.
I'm deep in the Wikipedia. Yeah, a Wikipedia page for any like niche content is like very dangerous for me to stumble upon because
Yeah.
I will be 4 hours later. Like for video games or like book series, like I haven't even played or watched or read, and I'm
Yep.
like, why do I need to know where the sorcerers like the steel they got for their sword was? I don't know, but I'm there. I need to
Yep.
understand why there
Like,
was a copper shortage in
why
this.
was there? How do they pay for this in ingots? How does that
Right,
translate into
exactly, exactly.
US dollar? And someone's done the currency conversion, and I think it's because like someone put the time and energy and effort into making this that I'm like,
Sure.
oh, I'm wrapped with attention because like a human being loved this so much that I want to know, like, what did you do?
Yeah. So
So
wait, you might have said it. Are you planning to like self-pub yours then if you're getting cover work, or you think you will query it?
I went the query route a couple of months after I felt like my manuscript was strong enough, but I
Yeah.
knew going into it that I was going to need another passive editing, more developmental editing, copy editing. So, but I was like, that's a trad problem. So I'm like, let's see if they even want the manuscript. And I
Yeah.
did query, and like, I gotta be honest, it was so a lot of work and a lot of
It
mind
is. I can
days.
imagine.
And I'm like, you know what? I think it might just be more fun. And honestly, like, since meeting so many more Indian self-published authors and like talking to more people in the book space, like, I think I was really mostly just scared that I'd be doing it by myself.
Yeah.
Because I originally started this account with the intention of like, oh God, have to have a platform if I'm going to like write a
Yeah,
manual,
yeah,
build one. And then it just became a whole different
yeah.
thing.
You're like, well,
And
I'm in this rabbit hole, but
yeah, and
yeah.
I'm like, oh, I've taken a turn.
I
Um,
mean, what it's there. You got a
yeah,
good launching off point for this, so I
and
mean,
it's
it makes sense. But yeah, I
not as
felt the
scary as I thought. That was my big thing. Like I thought it was going to be much scarier, and like
yeah,
I thought like, oh, I'm going to be very alone in this. There's so much I have to do, and like, but there's so many more tools than I thought, and like, frankly, like the indie publishing and self-publishing community, I was like, I don't really know what I'm doing. Like 50 people were in my inbox, and they're like,
yeah,
I can give you resources. I can explain it to you. I have like this specific publisher I work with for physical books, and they do this cool thing. So
yeah.
look, I'm like,
So
oh, it's
yeah,
easier. Put this
yeah.
together.
Yeah, I am blown away at the level to which people are so passionate about it and like giving of their time and their energy
Oh yeah.
and welcome and like I mean I know you obviously have a pretty big platform now, but like if anybody is watching it, I would advocate for just diving in at any level because I so I've been sitting on that manuscript for a while. And then like right around the beginning of the year, I had seen kind of out of nowhere, Noah was like, "Hey, I am writing a book or wrote a book and am close to finishing it." And then there was another guy that I follow that also was like, "Hey, I'm starting an author page too," and I was like, "All right, all these people are doing it. It's right at the start of the year. You've been sitting on this thing for a long time." So I just kind of like thrust it out there, and with no prior connections other than like I followed a bunch of you guys on my like personal Instagram page, and like just the level to which people immediately jump in the comments and are like, "Hey, welcome." What like I just was blown away with no prior grounding how quickly you get accepted into that community, and it's like I would not be to the state that I'm at now without the level of involvement of people. So you
Yeah.
really don't. It's for all the ills of social media, you really it's powerful in this regard for this, and like I don't even think you have to build a whole platform at least to get like that initial acceptance. So I would advocate for
Yeah.
anybody if you're thinking about doing that. It's blown me away how nice people have been.
I think the craziest thing that I have found too is like not just is the self-published and indie space so like we don't have agents, we are literally each other's tools.
Yeah,
We help
yeah,
each help me help you, and it's very about reciprocity and like being there for each other and
for
like help
sure.
like lift each other up, which I love. I've gone to like follow a bunch of trad published authors that I love, and I'm watching them with their like 1,000 followers, and they're like, "Hey,
Yeah,
I'm an author," and I'm like, I hate this.
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
you really
yeah,
don't. I think that's like the myth. Yes, you have to have social media to advertise yourself, but that's like any company needs social media to advertise their product.
sure.
And
Yeah,
ultimately, we are our products and our books are our products. Like we are our own marketing team. So you have to have social media to do it. But you really don't need like as big of a platform as I think people believe in their heads. Like
yeah,
you think, oh, unless I have like 100,000 people, like it's never going to go anywhere. I'm never going to do anything with it. It's just not true. I've seen
yeah,
people succeed and be like really, really strong indie self-published authors with like 500 followers. And I've seen them
for
with 50.
sure.
Like the range is huge. It really
Yeah,
is just about like engagement and people and putting yourself out there and like being at events and showing up and like leaning on each other and scaffolding your like your platform and like sharing it with each other. Cause like if someone bought your book and I already know that and like I that's not a new customer to me, but like I know you want someone, you're trying to like launch your books. Like, how do I get a customer to you? Because then they're going to reach someone who didn't know about me. Like, it all pays
yeah,
back.
yeah.
And like, that's what people don't understand. You can leverage each other's platforms, which is really cool, I think.
Absolutely. Well, that's the best. That's kind of the best part about it is how everybody recognizes that, and it's very. I mean, with very very few outliers, at least from what I've
Yeah,
seen, it's very like rising tide lifts all ships kind of thing, and
I
yeah,
love.
that's great. I mean, that's the other part too is like you hit on. You don't even really need as huge of a platform as somebody might think because the like the mechanics behind like the payment to the author from trad to indie is it's like vastly different, right? So you don't have to have as much units sold to get the same level of like profit as you would with a trad deal. Now, obviously, when you get big in trade, you get these really big like advance payments and
Yeah,
stuff and a little bit better rates. But especially for like a debut author, I have no idea what the actual conversion would be, but like a couple hundred to 1,000 copies sold as an indie author versus like 10,000 sold with a debut trade deal, like you're probably better off on that indie route. So you don't have to hit as many people, but if you hit like really high quality people, and with how social media is and with the integration with AI, like it's only becoming easier and easier to like get things routed into the niche interest of people that want to
yeah,
read those things.
yeah.
So it's like
I
there's
agree.
really you have no interest too obscure in today's day and age. Like if you find something interesting that's obscure, there's at least statistically a handful of other people out there, and like the tool to find and connect those people has never been more powerful. So
Yep.
I
Like
just try to
your,
be optimistic about it in that regard.
like your weird stuff. That's what I always say. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
let your fly. Like, just go
yeah.
be loud. I'm a big believer in that, and I'm sure on my stories I always share something about like, go be weird today.
Yes, yes. Your go be weird like meme game is I enjoy it quite a bit. They resonate with me.
I make myself laugh, and then I share it, and I'm like, oh, that's 33,000 people that are gonna see that. Okay.
Does that like stagger you sometimes? Like how often is that number present in your thoughts when you do like not to make you get in your own head, but
Oh no, I honestly like I don't really ever think about it. And I know that sounds insane. To me, I'm like, I'm just a little guy. And like that's how I feel all the time. And then one of my friends, blessings, love, and light, I'm gonna throttle him. He sends me this video that he took scanning a stadium and he goes, a third of your followers. I'm like, I have to fight you.
that's just yeah, I don't want that visualization. I don't want that.
Like I don't want to think about it. And every now and then my brain will just be like, I reject that information.
Yeah. I would be like staggered by that. My like I think I don't know. I have like probably 300 or 400 followers on here. Like if you showed me a picture of 300 or 400 people and we're like, all these people are listening, I'd be like, I'm gonna have a panic attack. Thanks.
Yeah, I can't think about it. And like I honestly, at the end of the day, really what I feel more than anything is like I feel this very great sense of responsibility. Like I have a platform and like that to me changes my calculus. It means like I have to be mindful. Am I engaging in like recency bias? Am I being honest about my feelings about this book? Am I letting its popularity affect me? Am I worried too much about what other people are going to think about how I said this? Like I have
Yeah,
a responsibility. I built my platform on speaking honestly about my thoughts and feelings on books. Like I haven't really changed my formula. I've changed my setup, but I haven't really changed like what I do because that's
yeah,
what I do. And like I just feel a responsibility to like it's an attention economy and like my obligation is to take care of the attention that I'm given. And like
sure.
people are following me for this specific reason. So I'm obligated to continue doing what they expect of me. And like it makes me be a better version of myself, I think. So ultimately that number, like I don't think about the number itself. I think about what it means to have that number. And like
Yeah,
I take everything very seriously, which is weird because
just
I feel
like big. The number's big. Now I'm just gonna try to be careful.
yes,
But
now
that makes sense. Yeah, I'm sure that's a tough balance of like I want to be authentic, but I also want to be aware of like what is in my hands. But I think just the fact that you are even thinking about that and wanting to be deliberate about it puts you probably ahead of some other people, and it shows. That's the authenticity. So I'm
I
a.
supposed to be
It
fun.
comes. What? Sorry. Go ahead.
This is supposed to be fun. We're supposed to have fun. If I'm not
Yeah.
fun,
Exactly. Yeah. I'm trying to remember how much of it is in the first book, but certainly in like book two, and my wife is probably sick of hearing about it, but my all time favorite superhero is Spider-Man, and
then
as this is the dorkiest, corniest thing that I could possibly say, but genuinely, I really try to like think about a lot the like with great power comes great responsibility. Like
I
that's the Spider-Man ethos, right? And it's in the trying to remember which I think it's the first Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movie. Martin Sheen is Uncle Ben, and he like expands on it a little bit, and he says, if you have the ability to do something, you have the obligation to like do it the right way. And so I think about that a lot, and I like kind of embedded some of that ethos into the books too. So
yeah, I do that like that. I am exactly the same way. Like part of why I started doing reviews and talking about books are like I kind of got frustrated because I was in the book space like as an observer, as a lurker, and I was like, oh man, I'm looking for new books, and every time I would try to hunt for new books, I have the same six books in rotation, and I'm like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
there are. I know this. I believe in it. I believe there are other.
I can see this
And
bookshelf behind me. There
yeah,
are definitely more than six books, pretty sure.
clearly there's other things on the
Yeah.
that's out there, and like I was like, man, I wish someone would make like videos that were about these other books, and then in my head immediately I was like, I'm someone, that's me, I have to do
Wait
it.
a second.
I got to do it. And that's
Yeah.
how I did a lot of bystander training, like how to not be a bystander. So like when you see someone experiencing like violence or like someone's in like under attack or like being bullied or
Yeah.
speaking to them poorly, like how do you overcome that fear of getting involved? And
Yeah.
like it turns out I'm naturally not like I have a very poorly calibrated sense of risk. So I'm able to
That's you know what?
like confrontation and like I have slid my
Yeah.
between like escalations quite a few times. So like I learned how to do it in a way that's maybe not as hot-headed and
Yeah.
passionate to get.
Yeah. Well, you are right in line with like all the superheroes that I like to read. That's and it's very much like my main character cast. That's very much like he is involving himself in situations where he's like far outside of his weight class and doesn't consider that fact until he's like standing between an ogre and a giant and like was
And
this the
there.
right call? But it was definitely the right thing to do. But is it the right call for the structural integrity of my spine?
Oh yeah.
But
I'm five
yeah,
foot six. And at one point I was staring up at a man who was like twice my size. And I'm like, I got so like in his face. He was like, oh my God. I'm like, yeah, you
yeah,
didn't.
yeah. You didn't expect
He
this
thought
energy, did you?
I have a poorly calibrated sense of fear.
Yeah, exactly. Very scrappy do of you. Everybody likes a scrappy character, I think.
People
I
bite.
do.
Not enough people bite. That's what I always say. Every time I watch a horror movie, I'm like, not
You need to put that in one of your books, or I'm going to steal
I
it
know.
for one of my later ones.
Honestly, I think it would work better in an urban fantasy than a gaslamp fantasy. You can have it.
Deal. Deal.
You when we talk a lot about writing and like our lives and they come into play in how we write. Have you always been like a kid who writes or like someone who writes, or is this something that like found you later in life?
It's funny. It's been like it's had like starts and stops. So, have you ever read the book On Writing by Stephen King?
Hmm.
Okay, I love that book,
It's
and I kind of picked it up and read it. I don't know, shortly after college, and that was in a phase where I was starting to like try to be into writing maybe as a hobby, but I was like definitely too insecure to be like, oh, this I'm definitely into this. It was like practice it in the dark of night. Um,
yeah, quite.
and but I read that book and he was talking about how he like discovered that he liked writing when he was very young. And there's like a story in there. I think he wrote like, I don't know, a couple paragraphs or something and then like showed it to his mom and she was like so blown away. And he's like, that feeling, I've been like chasing that for it. Like that is the core of his whole like writing career. Like the first ever reader that he satisfied and realized he could do that. And like as I was reading that, I had like flashback back to I remember in my freshman English class, we had like vocabulary books and you'd get like 25 to 30 vocabulary words a week that you had to like learn for that week. And the homework assignment would be at the start of every week would be like write a story and you got to include like five of the vocab words in it. And then our teacher would be like, well, if you use all of them, you can get extra credit. And I would like every single week I would write a story that used like all 30 vocab words, like six times as many as you needed to actually do the assignment. And I was like, at the time, I was like, yeah, you know, I like getting extra credit or whatever like that. And it's like looking back now, it's like so plainly like you really loved doing that. And I remember he like one of the first times we had that, he was like, "Oh, I just have to read one of these for the class because somebody really knocked it out of the park." And he like read my story in that, and I was like
I would.
I think that's the dragon I've been chasing ever since. Like I had like kind of buried or forgotten that until I read On Writing in Stephen King, and when he talked about that with his mom, I was like transported back to Mr. Buchanan's English class, and I was like, okay, so this has been a thing for a long time, whether I wanted to admit it or not, but. So I didn't really. I probably like started writing more consistently after college. I didn't write at all in college or anything like that. After college, I definitely started and aborted a couple novels that are I'm sure they're still floating out there. And then I don't know, like 2017, 18, I was writing. I was like, okay, like these have all been kind of abandoned. Maybe I need to like start smaller. And so I got into a phase where I was writing a lot of short stories because there's a lot. I don't know how relevant or I don't know how much there are now, but at least at that time, there was a lot of sci-fi, fantasy, like grimdark online magazines that would accept submissions. And one of the few like subgenres that still does like literally get paid for those sort of things. And so I was writing a lot of short stories and submitting to all these magazines.
That's
And
cool.
even that process, that's nowhere near like actually querying a full book. Even that process of just like get the manuscript together, submit it on their website was taxing. So I can imagine how the querying process was.
It was not fun.
But yeah, did that for a long time. It didn't really, it was like, I had a tracker. I think I had like 32 rejections or something like that. And then really short story that I was like, this is kind of a throwaway story, got accepted by a guy who does a audio flash fiction podcast where he just reads
Oh,
like a little
cool.
flash fiction piece. Um, and it got accepted on there. He paid 1 cent for every word. So I made $9.46. It was
That's right.
946 words.
Yeah.
Truly to this day, the best almost $10 I think I've ever made. So that was like between Mr. Buchanan, that guy that paid me $9, those two things have just been the core pearls that I've been holding for 33 years of my life
Yep.
to motivate. Yeah.
That's awesome. And like
Yeah.
so you've got your urban fantasy and like we've talked a lot about like inspirations for it and like some of your real life stuff. Do you and we kind of asked this in the secret group chat. We kind of talked about this. Are there people in your life that have made it into your stories that don't know that they've made it into your stories?
I feel like there will be a good number of people that are like, "Oh, did you write me in this. There's definitely a lot of characters that I'm like, I am putting this part of that person in it. But it's nobody is like just a transplant, like whatever. Some people may interpret it the other way, but there's definitely like sides of people's personalities that have made it
Oh,
very informed of certain characters, um, for sure. The closest person that's like a direct, like almost their full person is in the first book. He has like a grandfather figure who's kind of his mentor. It's actually his grandfather in the text, and that grandfather figure is like just a complete, wholesale fusion of both of my grandpas who are both now passed. So that's the only person that I've like wholesale put into the book because I'm like, all right, well, he's not around to face awkwardly afterwards, and this is a nice way to remember him.
it's safer. I do have one really important question. I know we're in our
Yeah.
last 12 minutes. This is very important. You knew this was coming. You know I was going to ask. What did you do with the
Oh my
bird
god.
in your park? So there is a bird. I'll let you tell a more thorough story. There is a
Yeah.
bird, the vendetta, a bird out for blood in Reid's life, and I need to know more about what happened to cause this rift between you and Mother Nature.
I truly I wish I should have concocted a nice backstory for the blood feud. Maybe I'll start putting them on Instagram stories, but this it used to be like so I live right next to Lincoln Park in Chicago, and there's a beautiful pond called the South Pond. I walk my dog around it every morning. And so I've been walking there every morning for I've been here almost 3 years. And prior to like this week, this has happened like twice. Just randomly, a red-winged blackbird has dive bombed and like impact. Usually, it's when I'm wearing a hat. And it's funny. I guess they maybe have a penchant for this because I've started telling this story to a couple people, and like before I finish it, they're like red-winged blackbird, and I'm like, yes, and they're like, yeah, they're a-holes. Like they do that all the time, and I'm like, oh, okay. I had no idea. I had been like admiring them because they sit right on the path. I'm like, oh, they're beautiful. But I don't know what happened this last like week and a half. There is a specific section of the path that this one bird sits in, and he has attacked my head every single time I walk past it for the last week. Maybe it's because I was talking smack about our buddy Jordan Smith, and
Oh,
he like whispered to the birds like Gandalf or something like that, and he's now
and,
put a
yeah.
hit out on me. But I don't have the explanation. This bird is like out for blood. But I don't know. My family has a little bit of a history of like
Oh,
feuds with woodland creatures. My mother very famously has a blood vendetta with the white-tailed deer population of
uh,
northern Kentucky.
yes. Like reverse
Um,
princess.
what's that?
Like reverse Disney princess situation.
Yes, exactly the opposite. She would like happily see Bambi's mother killed. Like she is just enemies. We
Yeah.
lived
We're
in
the
northern Kentucky. Our house was like in at the end of a cul-de-sac back in the woods. And so the deer would come out and just eat specifically her hostas, all of her flowers. And so my whole childhood is just painted with her trying to concoct different ways to scare deer out of our yard. She went to battle with like moles. She also hated the
oh,
moles. She would do crazy things to keep moles out of her head. So maybe this is just like a Butler legacy is that we have to have some sort of woodland arch enemy.
you guys are city people, but they still find you.
The weirdest thing about moving to Chicago is that I grew up in that house back in the woods, like I'm describing. I see more wildlife in downtown Chicago than I ever did there. Surprising. Like, I mean, I'm right next to the park, so it's a little bit different. But this park, like this pond, I've seen coyotes, geese, beavers, like
Oh,
muskrats, actual rats, dozens of different types of birds. Like it's very, I don't know, just kind of an oasis in the city. So I guess there's maybe like a higher
cool.
density of animals, but yeah.
More nemesis. The armies are assembling there. To you, it's just a regular walk through the park. To them, it's fighting. It's defending the lines against Mordor. They're
Yeah.
like they're getting ready to go up against the orc armies. This is the riders of Rohan coming for you.
Yes, they really are. And well, now it's like if I'm walking through the park and like if I start looking, I'm like, all right, if all these birds are enemies, you start to notice how many birds are around you. Like I understand why the birds was a horror movie. You're like, I would be screwed. There's like
Yeah, it's a
hundreds of birds around me, like, and they're all around. Like they're coming from every direction.
you're very aware of birds. And you're like, I did not expect this to be a situation.
Yes. Yeah. I'm like ducking and swooping all the time. So I thought it was maybe they didn't like my hat. There was a color on it or something that they're like, this is a mate on my territory. But this week I've been walking through there with no hat, and he has dive bombed me
You.
nonetheless. He's got my scent now.
He's like, I'm committed now, and I've been that bird where I'm like, I'm too in the bit now. I gotta commit to the bit.
Yeah. Well, did you watch the video I sent in the
Oh yeah,
chat? Okay. Well, I was like, all right. Well, of course I'm recording this, so he's not. The one time you recorded, nothing's gonna happen. And I did like it's like he knew. I did like a full 360. You see nothing, and I'm like, okay, well maybe we're good today. And then you hear his like battle cry, and
it's
he comes swooping in from the back. Yeah, I'll put it on my story for other people to watch, but it's crazy.
like I was like, oh okay, I guess it knows it's being filmed. Like my dog knows when I pull out my
Yeah.
camera,
Yes.
he turns away. I'm like, ugh. But like same thing, and then there's like this moment in the end where he's like, you see it swoop, and I'm like, oh my god, oh he wasn't kidding.
Yeah, you can hear as unmanly as it is, you can hear like genuine fear in my voice when
Yeah,
it's swooping on me too. Yeah,
and I believe you. Like because
yeah,
every surprising. Like you know it's gonna happen, but you don't know when it's gonna happen, which is
yeah.
arguably worse because it's like the anticipation.
Yes, yes, yeah. No, birds are crafty individuals. Plus, you were putting all that content out there about like crows, and they can like hold
I
grudges
love it.
across bloodlines, and I'm like, oh my god,
Yep.
that like, is this gonna be the rest of my life? He's telling
Yeah.
his buddies. They have my picture in their nest, and they're
They have
just like pecking it every day.
crows are generational haters, and I love
Yeah,
that. It will like they'll tell other crows that they hate you, and they'll recruit other crows into hating you, and they will
yeah.
collectively. People have had to like move houses because of the
I,
crows. They'll
I
kill.
just hope that they are not in tight with the red-winged blackbirds, because if I see a crow swoop at me, I'm toast. I'm gonna have to uproot my entire life. I don't
Yeah,
even know.
you're gonna have to move to the ocean, like far away, so the seagulls can protect you.
I think I'm gonna have to fly Jordan out to Chicago and like walk him with me around the trail to be like, I am friend of bird. You see?
Yes, like he can be your mediator with the
Yeah,
bird population of Chicago.
yeah. And my dog is completely like not helpful. She doesn't like get defensive at
No,
all. Like she's like sniffing a spot on the ground while I'm like doing combat with this bird. Yeah.
he's like, what am I gonna do? He's just gonna leave.
Yeah. She's like picking fight with geese next to us while this I'm like, we don't need more enemies. Like, take it easy.
Like this is already a battle to get through this walk. Like, just relax.
Yeah.
So with your book, as we're in our last couple minutes here,
Yeah.
when is your release timeline that you're eyeballing, or what is your speculative release timeline, and
Yeah.
where can people find you if they want to follow along and wait for your grand announcement, the grand reveal? If
Wow, you were pretty good at the interviewing. You got that. It was a well teed up there.
I'm punctual.
I do not have a set release date yet. My goal at the start of the year when I started this page was to publish it by the end of the year.
Mhm.
So I think there's still enough time to make that happen. I've had some advice from a couple other like more established indie authors about, it may be worthwhile to kind of like build a little bit of the readership in like a newsletter before you fully launch. So if it has to go into like the beginning of next year, that won't be the end of the world for me. But as far as right now, I'm still trying to set myself up to be able to launch it sometime near the end of the year, November, October,
Awesome.
maybe. So the big thing for this weekend, I was trying to get through all the beta feedback I had. But I just got another bunch of chapter beta feedback from Pri. Thank you, Pri. I need to go through that. And then I told the development editor I had lined up that I'd send it to her at the end of this month. So I think she said it takes about a month on her end.
Okay.
Um, and then come August is when I should have like cover illustration. So I'm trying to see if those can all coincide that the late October, November release is still viable. But I think there's a lot of steps that I haven't stumbled through yet. So I'm going to be patient with myself. I'm going to try to keep on the gas to make it this year. But I guess if doing it right means pushing things out a little bit, then I'll be
Yeah.
open to that too. Um, that was the first part of your question. What was the second part? Where they can find me?
Where can they find
Right now is the only place you can find me is on Instagram. So it's Reid
you?
underscore between underscore lines. But I got an author domain, but it was originally through like Shopify, and I think I'm going to move it to I think Squarespace would probably be easier. So I
Awesome.
need to get like a website up before the end of the year as well. Well before the book launch, ideally. So that'll be another place. But for now, just Instagram is kind of the homepage of everything. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Fantastic. thank you for giving me a whole huge hour on your Sunday randomly.
No
Like,
problem. Thanks for letting me just ramble. Hopefully, it wasn't talking over you too much.
oh no, not at all. And like, I'll pull out clips. You'll get a whole copy, and if people missed the live
Cool.
version, they'll be able to watch the recorded version. I'm also going to be putting it on my YouTube, and which is a
Oh,
thing
nice.
I forget about sometimes. But I'm
Is that is
YouTube
that newer, or was I just ignorant of it?
newer. I
Okay.
shorts, and I've been just cross posting everywhere for like
Yeah.
all talks and reviews and Instagram reels and things like that. But now I'm like taking these and then shoving them onto my YouTube too. So if anyone missed the live, they can watch it here or over there.
Awesome. All right. I'm gonna be YouTube famous now,
Yep, I'm doing it to you.
huh?
I'm gonna get you in front of people you like it or not.
I appreciate it. Well, I really cannot tell you enough how appreciative I am for you to have me on here and your participation in the group. It's really just a fun group of support to have, and I thank you for your time. It was awesome.
Awesome, fantastic. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. This was great.
Absolutely.
Sarah talks bookish stuff with Reid. Thank you. Have a good
See you
Sunday.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.